Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about this one podcast I keep seeing clips from. Now, I'm very particular about podcasts, let me be clear. It is very rare for me to listen to content creator podcasts in the sense of if I like a YouTuber, a streamer, whatever, I'm more likely to watch their quote unquote regular content as opposed to their podcasts, mainly because there are few people whose opinion I really value enough to listen to them talk for like 3 hours. And that's not to be mean or whatever. If I don't know if our morals align, I'm probably not gonna listen to you for 3 hours unless there's like a really interesting, thought-provoking type of discussion, content, whatever. I'm not the target demographic for a lot of these podcasts, so let me just put that out there. I've been seeing viral clips of podcasts. So there's the awkward girl who interviews people, something Antonov, I can't remember. Again, these are just things coming up on my timeline. I've seen really funny clips of that. If you want to see her be put in a really awkward position, watch her interview with Offset. That shit was hilarious. Anyway, I've been seeing these clips lifted from TikTok, put onto Twitter/X of this podcast called Growing Pains, I think it is actually, with Ethan Payne, who I'll put a little description here, and his partner, Faith. Let me just be clear. I'm going to comment on this podcast. I'm not commenting on their relationship. I don't know their relationship. I'm commenting on how things come across, not what I think they are. Let me be clear. So a lot of the clips that have come up, a lot of the viral clips, I'm assuming because they are all over Twitter, have been very uncomfortable to watch. It very much gives me the feeling of, have you ever gone out with a couple and then they start arguing and you're right there and there's nowhere you can go or leave to, so you're just witnessing the argument, feeling like, man, I shouldn't be here. That's kind of the feeling I get with a lot of their content. We're gonna address that. Let me just show you the content and then let me show you also kind of TikTok where they address their rapport.
He just said that I didn't do my jobs anymore, which is cleaning.
It's not just cleaning. It's not just cleaning.
But that's what it was talking about.
I feel like there was, in the last like 2 weeks or so, there's been an unfair shift on
you have two jobs.
And you're no.
You do the dishwasher,
okay,
and you do the bins.
Do this here.
It's not the
you
same.
Want to do this here.
And you watch me all morning do 7 loads of washing,
I'll let you finish.
Folding, and I put everything away. Each night I cook dinner for you, I cook dinner for me, I cook dinner for Olive, and then I feed Olive, and then I take Olive straight to the bath. I give Olive a bath, I put her to bed. By the time I've come back down, you're sitting on the sofa, been scratching on your balls on there for the past hour, and you've not picked up anything in the living room. So from that, I come downstairs every night, I put all of her toys away, hoover both the grey rooms, so both the living rooms essentially, all while you watch TV. So go on then, please enlighten me what the kitchen was an anti-back.
That's what you usually do. In the last 2 weeks, you slipped. You fell off.
No.
You did. You fell off.
No, because I can look at my phone right now, take your washing up.
I did do that.
After you made me cry. Because we said...
There was an unfair shift in the last 2 weeks.
Again, bins, dishwasher don't relate to everything else.
No.
And I don't like it because you're like, oh, it's that unfair shift. It shouldn't be a shift. If you see this is what f***s me off, right? You see the same mess and then you go, oh, well, she'll sort it out. And you will wait 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks until I've sorted it out and you'll moan at me, but you acknowledge the same mess and you won't do nothing about it.
I'll tell you my reasonings behind it.
Go on then.
Because...
Woman.
No. Because... You will do it again. You're a repeat offender. Like the tea bags in the sink, you're a repeat offender. So even if I do it, I don't even get a thank you for doing it, and then you'll just do it again.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
You do.
I will walk out this podcast right now.
You do.
No,
you just repeat offend.
Okay, but you don't get a thank you. Oh my God.
You're a repeat offender.
I birthed your child and barely got a thank you. Are you joking me? I cook dinner every night. I barely get a thank you. Actually,
we order every night.
No, we don't. When I cook and stand his dinner, this man will get one fork out the drawer and then close it. So don't tell me about you don't get a Thank you. Oh, let's skip, because that's open Pandora's box, that has.
So I'm going to be biased for this first clip because back when, I always divided things in the household in the sense of Jacob had his things to do, I had my things to do, and it was a partnership. It never was like, you entirely take care of the house, you entirely do this. If it came to that, it was smaller things, like Jacob was in charge of the cars because he actually understood things versus me. I know nothing about cars, so if you send me somewhere, I will likely pay a lot to get nothing done to it, trust and believe. But when it's big jobs like taking care of an entire house, from laundry to a child to washing to everything, if someone signs up to do that, that's fine. But generally speaking, I've always thought that there has to be a little bit of help on the side, whether it's 50-50, 75-25, whatever. But 100% on one person, I don't feel like works out in the end for a lot of people, especially when it's like this, because like this, from the outside, and everything I say is just gonna be the perspective from the outside, aka my perspective from the outside specifically. This seems like resentment is already there. It's very uncomfortable to watch because it's almost like someone saying, hey, you know, like I'm doing all this stuff, you're not helping me even when you could, and then you seem ungrateful about it, and then you have someone responding saying, oh yeah, in the last 2 weeks you fell off. First of all, that's like a really weird way to put it in my opinion, and again, maybe this is their sense of humor. I'm gonna show you a clip in a second that addresses that, just so going forward you can keep that in mind. But I just find this very uncomfortable, and if we're even just looking at it like via a content perspective, who really wants to see this? Because as much as I think people are nosy, I'm nosy, as much as I think people, you know, might enjoy drama, you know, all of these things, it's also like, this feels so outside of that. This feels like the conversation you have with your partner with no one else there. This isn't even necessarily all that interesting because we're just seeing two people basically bitching at each other, and it just feels uncomfortable because we also don't know how much of it is real, how much of it is amped up. So it's just kind of like, okay, so are you guys having problems and you're letting us in on those, but also we don't really know what. Also because it's like the way you put your relationship out there is the way people are going to perceive it. So even if this isn't that deep or that serious, it's out there. But let me show you the clip about joking and dry humor that was brought up by them, I think in response to people kind of being like, this is awkward, this is, you know, weird content to be putting out there, like what's the point?
However, should we discuss something that I'm going to bring up?
Go on then.
I feel like the world doesn't understand that me and Faith have this dry humor towards each other.
Yeah.
Like,
We've
to
been
you
getting
guys,
slated.
to you guys, it must come across like, yeah, these guys are finished.
Yeah, like not
they
in
got
love.
another year in the max.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way we are. We're not like super soppy or anything.
No.
I feel like we're just fine, man.
Listen, your mum and dad argues.
We're so comfortable.
Yeah.
That I don't need to be like, look, come here, babe.
My hands are sweating, Phil.
Yeah, baby, there you go. Yeah, look.
My hands are moist.
Let's hold hands on our couples podcast because we're like
This actually
so
really
in
hurt
love.
my arm.
We're so, listen, you're my missus. I love you very much.
Oh, thanks. Love you too.
No worries. That was really nice, wasn't
That was yes.
First of all, I get this because I have a very dry sense of humor, specifically with the people in my life that I'm very close to. I think it comes out here and there here as well, but with the people in my life, my sense of humor is very dry. So I completely understand, even, you know, with my best friends, like it seems like we're maybe bullying each other when we're really not. And I mean, that all comes down to they know my intentions, I know their intentions, so we know where it's coming from. If someone sees us from the outside, they might not understand that, though I think the majority of the time it's very visible when you're being silly as opposed to actually mean-spirited. I wanted to put this clip in to contextualize everything because this is the explanation that was given for, you know, the dryness between them. Every relationship has their own dynamic. The thing is, I think most people, myself included, don't really perceive this as dry, which is why the discussion has continued past this kind of statement of like, hey, this is just our sense of humor, because some of this content really does read as boiling resentment. That's how I perceived it. A lot of this to me isn't dry humor, and maybe my definition of dry humor just doesn't align with theirs, and that's totally fine. The same way with the Awkward Girl podcast, the Antonov, I can't remember her first name for the life of me right now. Regardless, even that sense of humor allegedly is dry sense of humor when someone is just awkward and silent and looks off to the camera, which to me doesn't translate to dry humor. We all have our different modalities, but the thing is that a lot of what happens in these clips transcends that, in my opinion, because it looks kind of, a lot of it just seems accusatory. Like, a lot of it really just does seem like we're witnessing a couple fighting slash arguing slash whatever you want to call it, and then we're just going to throw on this lens of, oh yeah, that's our sense of humor. So from the outside, it does not translate as humorous, like, at all, in my opinion. And I could be wrong. So let me show you some other clips to illustrate what I'm saying.
Ethan says he won't propose to me because I want to be Kelly Payne.
Faith doesn't want to take my name, and that irks me.
No.
Yes.
I want to take your name.
You don't want
I just
to.
want to take mine as well. I'm not saying, no, because otherwise then I just wouldn't change my name. I'm saying I want to put mine there, but Kelly Payne. So if anyone goes, oh, what's your name? I'll be like, oh, Faith Payne.
So what's the point in...
Because I don't want to lose my association with my family.
You're not?
Yeah, okay, great. So let me keep it.
No.
It's a personal thing. I've grown up with the name my whole life. I like it. I want to keep it.
No. Take it.
No, you take mine.
Encompass it. No.
You take mine. Well then.
No, that's not what this... No. I just believe that that's how it should be done.
When you make the first move, when there's something shining on my finger, I'll think about it. Until then, no.
I'm not having this, I'll think about it and then bottle the 50-50. No way. I need 100% die for the badge, ride or die.
It'll be in there.
No,
It'll be so non, wouldn't it?
Full kit wanker.
I just want to keep it because I like my association with my family.
No.
See, so like, I don't know if it's the way I perceive these clips. I find them uncomfortable. Like, they're not the end of the world. Nothing terrible is happening, let me be clear. But I do find them uncomfortable to watch because, again, it's like, why? I mean, share whatever you want on the internet, but when you see clips like this, I don't really see all this dry humor in there. I don't see the ha-has. There's another clip where they talk about getting hate, but it's more related to sidemen specifically, as far as I understood, so I'm not including it here. I also don't know how much is hate versus people just being like, hey, this is how you're coming off. It always just seems very tense and awkward and uncomfortable. And again, maybe that's my own projection. This doesn't really seem like a conversation that should even be online if you're going to have an issue with people critiquing it, because you know full well you guys are going head to head on something, so people will critique one side or the other, right? And also, in this particular case, frankly, I've never been, just like for my own bias, I've never really been one to care about taking a last name or not taking a last name. I hadn't taken Jacob's last name because my passport, so it would be like a shit show of paperwork. So we said that we'd like cross that point once I had to renew my paperwork, because that is a whole fucking thing, let me tell you. Changing your passport, changing your green card, all of that. I really don't see what the big deal is of like wanting to keep your last name and then taking theirs. Like, plenty of people do that, and I don't really see why it had to turn into a thing, which is another layer of this, is that you're putting your issues out there, but then it seems like, at least based on kind of what he said, it's like he doesn't want people to comment on them. And it's like, okay, well, this is the content of your podcast though. I mean, at least a part of it. So what are we supposed to comment on? And if something's off limits to comment on, then why is it out there? And again, like I said, I don't really get the humorous haha dry humor vibes here. And as a person who usually picks up on dry humor pretty well, I'm confused because all of this to me seems uncomfortable and awkward, and then we're just calling it dry. But again, that is not a reflection on the relationship because I wouldn't know. It's just how it's perceived. So there's one more clip.
I'm into like medium ugly guys, I'd say. Not you though, you're really handsome.
Why are you with me then?
No, I think you're really handsome.
So why are you with me?
Because you are a bit medium ugly. You have got lazy eye.
I'm medium ugly.
Well, I'm not good looking, so.
Am I medium ugly?
No, you're really handsome.
That's all.
You are. No, you are. You are.
You never say nice things about me anymore. We had this conversation in the car actually the other day. Where was he driving? I said, when was the last time that you actually looked at me and thought, fucking hell? And it was about 6 months ago when I was wearing grey joggers.
You don't.
I said, what? Since then, you haven't looked at me and thought,
again, they'll say things like this on the podcast and then be surprised that people are gonna come to certain conclusions. And it's like, bro, what did you think was gonna happen? Anytime, and this is advice for anyone putting anything on the internet, which is why I don't share basically anything of my life on the internet, like aside from my outfits. People will come to conclusions and people will reach. They will come to conclusions without having the full information. So unless you put the full information out there, I suggest just don't. I'm not saying don't express yourself on the internet, but just know people are unhinged over here and they will come to some like crazy conclusion. Like I even saw comments about like it being toxic, it being abusive. And it's like, I'm not coming to those conclusions because based on these clips, there's no conclusion for me to come to. It's just the perception we have. And the majority of people I know that are content creators have that very clear divide of, I'll be on here, I'll talk about the things I talk about, but beyond that, you know nothing about my life, you know, of significance. Like I'll tell you, yeah, I go to school, whatever, but I'm not gonna tell you certain things that, first of all, aren't your business, but that also don't give the full picture, maybe like here, and then people will draw conclusions that are not really based in my reality. But when there are even instances like this, now sure, this is an edit, there was the music in the background, okay, which is meant to elicit a certain type of emotion. It's supposed to be sad or whatever with that music, right? But it's like when you say things like that, some of these things are, you know, what I would deem relatively serious in a relationship, in the sense of if you think your significant other isn't attracted to you, if you feel like you're unattractive to your significant other, if you feel like they're not even really looking at you in some type of way, those are serious things, not because it's the end of the world, but because they have ramifications. Because if you go long enough without saying anything, things can fall apart. If you feel like they don't want you, you might be insecure that they want someone else. Like all of these issues that come from that. So this part I also thought was, first of all, a very personal thing to put online, and I don't know if I'd suggest anyone to put that online. Not because it's shameful or anything like that, on the contrary. But again, if you don't want people to draw conclusions, you can't like tune in and say these things, specifically if you haven't solved the issue. I've always suggested to come on and talk about your problems, if they're this deep and you don't want anyone to comment on them, once you've solved the issue. So you can talk about it and have a case closed, as opposed to this, which now, you know, like, and to some degrees, I also blame audiences, and I'm part of audiences, so I blame myself for certain things I've thought in the past as well. It's like now people have this seed of doubt, and because this has been said, when content is posted and she makes a comment or he makes a comment, they're gonna refer back to this video and be like, oh, well, she said this. You know, like there are conspiracy theories online that grow out of nowhere. And granted, maybe all of these awkward podcast moments are just awkward podcast moments, and we're perceiving things wrong because, again, we don't know anything about what's going on behind closed doors. But at the same time, you can't put certain content out there completely ignoring the fact that people on the internet will draw conclusions out of, well, what you show them, which, to be fair, if that's the only thing you show them, what else can they draw conclusions from? Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think this is awkward and uncomfortable? Do you think it's just dry humor? These clips have been all over my Twitter. People have been commenting on this back and forth, mostly saying kind of the same thing that I'm saying, that it's uncomfortable and they don't really know what to do with the information presented. Kind of like, how are you supposed to react to that? Anyway, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.